Hey guys, welcome to another episode or audio of What's News. I have three stories I'm going to be focusing on, pretty much light today, but these are three very important stories. One that involves the social network, one involving politics, and one that I'm not surprised that this still goes on in some states across the U.S. So let's start with the one I feel that needs to be mentioned here because this is the one I was debating on whether to keep it as a separate video or just pretty much make it as a what's news topic. And I decided to make it a what's news topic. And I'm kind of curious of what you guys feel about this. But basically, it involves corporal punishment and it involves elementary school administering corporal punishment. It says here, and according to it, that Alabama elementary school is pretty much on the hot water after an Alabama mom, I believe her name is Wendy Chandler, opened her daughter's back to school packet. She was shocked to discover that amongst many papers sent to her was a corporal punishment parental consent form. Now, before I go on, there are still states that still legally do this, but now they have to send consent forms. I believe Texas have something similar to that, and other states as well. So this is not shocking to see this. The permission slip, which has been making internet rounds, keyword internet rounds, the New York Times report, the story this week reads in part. I'm going to read the story for you guys so you can actually get a glimpse of what this says here and why. I'll just read it right off the bat. According to the leads, the city public policies, parents and legal guardians who do not want corporal punishment to be administered to their children must inform the principal of the school on an annual basis. The document also states that the parent fails to fill it out and hand it back to the administrators. The elementary school will regard that as impending consent of admission, basically saying, well, she's approved, he or she approves of it, so we got the go ahead. Physical discipline of administer physical discipline, but as for what that entitled exactly and what infraction would warrant that the paper does not specify. What a surprise. Chandler explains in the Huffington Post that she originally thought the form had been some sort of mistake, but realizing her daughter's new school was serious about hitting students, she's ticked off. Box and wrote a response at the bottom of the form. I can't imagine how he would ever be okay with showing violence towards anyone. Hitting a child is beyond disgraceful. Anyone who could hit a child should be thrown in jail. So obviously, she is not happy about it at all, and I can't really blame it. Now, Chandler has stated that stated a change or petition asking parents, Obama and other government officials to ban the use of physical force in public schools nationwide. The article also says it sounds like an argument straight out of the 1950s, which it is, but surprisingly in 2013, 19 states still allow public schools to administer corporal punishment to children. And since the story broke, the internet commenters have brought up an old spear, rods, spoiled the children argument in favor of what many consider to be barbaric practices. According to the 2008 report by the ACLU and Human Rights Watch, students in states that allow corporal punishment are often hit with objects like paddles and minor infractions like chewing gum and dress code violations. As a result, many children are left injured, disregarded, and pretty much embarrassed from school. Chandler told the Huffington new mission. She now has a new mission is to eliminate corporal punishment from school goals. Well, administrate public. She's basically trying to get rid of it altogether. And she said corporal punishment from school goals well above and beyond the short-term safety of her daughter. My my immediate concern is for all those kids whose parents checked yes on the form because their children, my child, future colleagues, and neighbors. Okay, this has been a long, serious debate. It has been going back and forth for many, many years. Many people believe that some kind of discipline like that is warranted to keep children in line. I do not agree. I just think it's another way to use bullying. And whether you know it or not, many of these places take it personal when you don't sign that form and says, I don't want you touching my children. They actually feel that you're from out of state or you don't know how things work there. I'm going to say this right now. Under no circumstances, I feel the school has the right to put your hands on anyone. And here's the other thing is, and I had this conversation before with a very good friend of mine who told me about his experience with a teacher who actually was a Catholic school teacher who families had went to the school and they gave him this list, and he said under no circumstances, none, that you put your hands on my child. They actually called them to the school to actually tell them to convince them to do otherwise. And when he told them, he said, "Listen, under no circumstances you put your hands on my child. If you do, I'm coming over here and beat the hell out of you." And she took that as an offense. And she said, "Oh, this is why your Northerners always have these kind of problems with children." He said, "Look, if there's a problem, you come call me. You deal with me, and I'll handle it. But you don't put your hands on my child. You don't ever put your hands on your child." As a result of this, she actually informed the police and made a record of it that if this person put their hands on my child, I'm gonna go after her. The cops actually agreed and actually informed him of his children's of the past of his mother, his family, and other family members. And from needless to say, what he said that is pretty much quiet her down. What's amazing about his story, and it doesn't shock me one bit, because I actually seen this kind of stuff happen, where they do take offense to that, is when he said that if you touch my kid, I'm gonna beat the hell out of you. She took it as a threat, and she threatened to call the cops on him. But yet she had no problem putting her hands on other people's children. See, this is the thing I always have a problem with when people always have this argument corporal punishment is good. To me, it's just another form of bullying. To me, it's another form of submission that is not necessary, in my opinion. And I've seen terrible cases, especially for those who are suffering from children who are suffering from some kind of mental illness or some kind of learning disabilities. They get hit the most, especially for children who's not even their own flesh and blood. And these corporal punishment, it doesn't work. We even heard stories, and I know you guys heard it too, about people actually children actually dying because of these practices, because someone told them that corporal punishment was good. All I'm saying is that just think about this a minute, especially from this note. I don't know if any other further other comments have been made from Alabama. According to the main article, it says that we don't hit your kids, which is kind of funny, because one time I see the article actually arguing or basically rejecting what this woman has said. So obviously that is not really the case. But I will leave the link for you. There's other links that explains some of the states that does this. But I'd like to hear your opinion on this. To me personally, don't put your hands on my children. That's all I'm saying. You put your hands on them, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a very serious problem. Let's go to the second to last article. Let's go right straight to it. Lincoln is in trouble. The social network is being sued by users who say it hacked email accounts, stole contact lists. Kind of interesting. Let's get right to it. A group of Lincoln users are suing the social network site for allegedly hacking into emails accounts in a complaint filed in San Jose federal court this week. The users accuse Lincoln of accessing their emails so the company can mine out a list of contacts and send spam-like emails. The suit claims that Lincoln is able to download these addresses without requesting a password from an external email account or obtaining users' consent. Interesting. The article also goes on and said this is a complaint. The complaint author is essentially hacking since the user's email accounts is downloading of all emails addressed associated with the user accounts is done without clearly notifying the users or obtaining his or her consent. Once the contact list has been siphoned from the user's email account, endorsement emails get sent out. These endorsements emails contains names and likeness of those existing users who LinkedIn supposedly obtained the list of emails addressed. The document explains. So basically, they're looking to drive their customer values up. The article also said it's not clear from the suit exactly how LinkedIn is allegedly hacking to these email accounts. For example, the suit claims that the company pretends to be a user to download contact lists if a LinkedIn user leaves an external email account open. Nonetheless, the social network is denying these allegations and is commenting to putting out members, is committed to putting out members first, which includes being transparent about how we protect and utilize our members' data. The company says in a statement shared with All Things D, we believe that the legal claim in the lawsuit is without merit, and we intend to fight vigorously. So this is something that is very interesting for especially those who are in social network. This is not the first time something like this happened. Facebook had a problem with this before, which raised the question of privacy, what they can and cannot do with your account, who get to see that account, who authorized to obtain that account even without your permission. So these are the kind of things that is bound to pop out sooner or later. I don't know how true these claims are. For all we know, it could be some other hackers doing this. But the one thing is questioning if these people who are supposed to be in the contact list is giving out promotional spam letters. Did they doing it because they already on LinkedIn, or is it because they have actually taken some of these contact lists and basically just sent them out without even the people without leaving people acknowledgement? So these are the things that LinkedIn's going to have to explain, because like I said before, there are some social sites who does that. If you go on a social site, they're going to try to make money any way they can, so they're going to send out some advertisements every now and then. They might even say some advertisements on their main board. So this is not surprising to me at all. But at the same time, we must raise the question: what can a social networking site, LinkedIn, Yahoo, Google, you name them, can and cannot do with their account? And if so, what are they doing to make sure an account be protected? If in fact this is not the case, it's not that they're doing with someone else. So this is something very interesting. This is something that I think that needs to be looked at. But I think that also we need to keep an open mind that maybe, just maybe, this is not this is pretty much somebody just making a claim just to try and get an easy payday. Only time will tell. I will be keeping an eye on this as the days and weeks go on. I will leave a link below so you guys can check it out. And let's move on to the last story. Save you for last for a reason. Normally I do politics stories first, political stories first, but in terms of this, I saved it for last for a particular reason, because man, oh man, the Republicans have painted themselves in the wall when all they have to do is basically say, look, enough already, Cruz, respect you, but you're hurting us right now. You're really hurting us right now. And according to Business Insider, that's exactly what they're doing. I'm going to read some of the stuff that said here. It says it happened again. The clock is ticking, and yet another financial showdown between the president and Congress, which is making noise about shutting down the government. No surprise there. It also says, or raising the debt ceiling unless some concessions is made. And I want you to keep a close eye on concessions here. Say, we're not going to cooperate unless you do this, this, and this, and that, and then only we'll surrender to whatever little itty bitty stuff you have. And I'll explain how they're continuing to shoot themselves in the foot, and how there's actually a civil war going on between some of the conservatives and some of the others who were mostly on Tea Parties, and how they've been handling this situation, which, by the way, is poorly. The most famous of these showdowns came in 2011 when the Tea Party infused GOP to take the debt ceiling fight down to the wire, only to relent once Obama and the Democrats agreed to automatic future spending cuts, which we now call the sequester. It's time. This time, we're getting a financial two-step at the end of September, and the government will shut down unless a continuing revolution is passed a little bit after the U.S. will hit the debt ceiling. The article also states that not only do we have two events in rapid succession, but there's a twist, and this is where the twist comes in. It says here that Texas Senator Ted Cruz and a band of followers fellow travelers are promising to block the continuing resolution, in other words, shut down the government, unless somehow the Congress pass and Obama signs a bill that will defund Obamacare. You know, this accession with Obamacare is getting a little ridiculous. I'm just throwing it out there. They really are shooting themselves with the foot with this Obamacare thing. This is it goes on to say that now if you think there's any chance that Obama will sign a bill to defund a signature program on the eve of it going into effect, you're probably living in another planet. But on the other hand, Republicans in the age of Obama, not known to being compromising, is it smashed those policy all the way down. Pretty much it's just going to go right to it, even though they know it's ridiculous. Okay, now this is where it gets interesting, guys. It says here in the article, except oddly, the Republican Party is pissed off at Ted Cruz. And they have been pissed off for quite a while, by the way, so there's nothing new being thrown out there. Ted Cruz has been making life kind of miserable for the House Republicans all summer by holding rallies and pressuring them to vote to defund Obamacare. Essentially, he's being an interpreter for the Senate, getting in House business. Eventually, this week, they did successfully hold a vote that will keep the government funds at current levels of spending, which, with an exception of Obamacare. Interesting. I'm gonna continue reading. But after that, it all went downhill for Cruz and the GOP, because now the bill has no chance of passing in the Senate. The House Republicans and also conservative pundits are flipping out at Cruz because they see only bad options from here. Either conservatives surrender on the issue, or they are in a government shutdown. So thank you very much for shooting yourself in the foot and not keeping this guy at bay. You continuing to follow someone who may not have the attention of the party at hand, and now they put yourself in a situation where either you do this or you that, and either way you come out smelling bad. Oh, I don't believe this. And Charles Kramer declares that the Republican Party will end up as a sushi if the fight to refund Obamacare ends up shutting down the government. The conservative Wall Street Journal editorial page called this a kamikaze mission that will pay right into Obama's hands, and that's exactly what it's doing. Obama has nothing to worry about. He can just sit down, relax, and let the Republicans take all the blame for this, because that's exactly what's going to happen. That's exactly what's going to happen. Congratulations, Cruz. You just made things a lot more worse than what it needed to be. None of the arguments we've seen eventually actually say that the government shutdown would be bad for the country. Although it would deprive government spending, all the arguments about how bad a shutdown would be for the GOP and how it would be good for Obama. And it will. Because Obama's not the one doing anything that's going to cause a shutdown. They are. The article also says that, and it gets to the nut of the why Republicans are so upset. For the first time since the Tea Party had its big win in 2010, the wing of the party is actually engaging in a fight that put the party at risk. In the 2011 debt ceiling, the fight to GOP was essentially free-rolling, meaning playing risk-free. They could threaten to not raise the debt ceiling, knowing Obama could not afford to actually let it happen, and they knew that the public didn't understand what the debt ceiling was. The public still doesn't, which is why polls show that the public not in favor of raising the debt ceiling, even though consequences of not raising it would be quite severe, far more than the government shutdown, which can be done in an orderly manner and which doesn't put the service of the U.S. Debt at risk. Oh man, yeah, this is not going well with them. Obama can't afford to let the government shut down happily. Shutdown happen. He can basically just let it happen, at least for a few days. The GOP would have to live with what is worth, and the public would understand exactly what is going on. Threatening to shut down the government over Obamacare is not a free rolling. It is a threat with real consequences. It's a principal threat. That's why the Rutherhammer and your Wall Street Journal and your Josh Goldberg would say Cruz is engaging in a long con at screaming bloody murder. This is a great article. I will leave it, and that's why I read it in entirely. That's why I left it as the very last thing, because it pretty much explains the stupidity of hanging on to this argument and actually putting it as part of the negotiation process in budget spending. They just made a huge blunder at this, and you know what? They're gonna come out losing. And Obama's gonna come out losing. They're gonna come out losing, big time. Every 2 days I hear Ted Cruz's name. It just makes me wonder, why is his guy have so much power or so much voice in this party? Why is he forcing their hands in such a way that put them in a corner where they lose if they do this, they lose if they do that? I don't get it. All right, and this is the problem when I say you follow the wrong leader. Sometimes it leads you down to this kind of road, and it's not voting well. So far, I have been following it from both sides. I've been following this news from the conservative side. I've been following it from the liberal side. I've been following it from all sorts of news outlet, and it still comes back to Republicans have made a very big mistake. And their obsession with Obamacare has become, it's beyond obsession now. It's beyond anything I've ever seen. And again, it makes me wonder, do the Republicans really do have a leader to actually say, come on, enough already, we're not, we're already unpopular with the people right now with some of the stuff we already have done. We need to start, refixing it and make it people believe in conservative policy again. But they keep doing stuff like this. They keep showing this kind of radicalism, and it's getting nowhere. And man, oh man, if there's a shutdown, then the Democrats are actually be looked at as the bad guys here. They're really not. But then again, that's just my thought on the matter. I will leave a link below. You guys can check it out yourself, see what you guys want to say about it. But I'm telling you right now, man, it's if it does a shutdown, somebody need to. The idea that the Republicans have themselves to blame because they let a man who clearly, in my opinion, has not either the people's who voted in interest at heart, or even the party at heart, but himself. That's all I'm saying. But I'll leave a link to all the articles I talked about. I'd like to hear your opinion on the matter. And that's pretty much it today. This is going to be short. What's news? But then again, the three stories I've talked about were three very important ones. I'd like to hear your opinion on them. I'd like to hear your thoughts on them. But until then, this is J77 saying take care, be safe, talk to you soon.